My journey exposing the New World Order began with Monsanto. The first real pushback that I received was when I was on a radio show on WAPJ radio in Torrington, Connecticut in October of 2010.
Isn't autism kind of a disease that's just kind of flourished over the last decade or so?
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. In fact, only 15 years ago, it was less than 15 years ago, it was 1 in 10,000. And then it increased to 1 in 1,000. What's very interesting, in some communities, it's as much as it's very high. So there's also the possibility that it's ecological. Like again, with a lot of the problems for example, there are clusters of this in Long Island where they had pesticides in the land, like in Livertown. There's PCBs and cancer. Well, first of all, PCBs and all of this that's why I want to talk about Monsanto. People should Google Monsanto and look at the history of Monsanto. Monsanto has their hands in everything that we eat. It puts all of these preservatives in. They have attorneys and lobbyists in Washington that are controlling the food industry, and now President Obama has appointed a new, it's unbelievable, but he actually did appoint a former attorney and lobbyist from Monsanto as the current food health administrator.
Maybe he thinks he's going to reform it from the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
The station manager came in and said, I can't speak of things like this on the radio. Really, really upset. And we got into a heated argument, and he banned me from the station, ever going back there again to be on the air. So I realized then that this was a very powerful company and a powerful agribusiness in Torrington. Clearly has roots in agriculture and some larger farms and some smaller farms in Litchfield County, Connecticut. It's pretty agricultural. In fact, there's a Wamogo High School which teaches agriculture. The Department of Agriculture the Federal Department of Agriculture has an office in Torrington. So there, obviously there's a big connection to Big Agra. And I was speaking the truth about Monsanto and Roundup and everything else.
Autism speaks.
How you doing, Howie?
I'm doing real good. You know, that public service announcement about the autism really sort of strikes home to what I was going to talk about today. That there is a tremendous rise in autism, and multiple sclerosis is up 50%. There's a lot of detailed information from basically if you're going to track the neurological disorders that show an increase in all of these neurological disorders, such as Parkinson's disease and everything, are on the rise.
Heavy use of the world's most popular herbicide, Roundup, could be linked to a range of health problems and diseases, including Parkinson's, infertility, and cancers, according to a new study. This is like a key element to the New World Order, the depopulation, and, of course, the medical mafia connected together. Now, this is a huge spiderweb of evil. I've spoken about it many times. I go into depths of it. It's very difficult for people that might not be aware that there is a consorted connection. But all you have to do is simply Google the 147 companies that control or interests in all the other companies of the 41,000 multinational corporations. You will find that it's like an hourglass, and in the center is these 147 companies. And guess what? There are all these banking firms and Monsanto and all these other corporations, and the elite oligarchs who are at the head of the pyramid of evil. The New World Order controllers have an agenda through the Club of Rome, papers, documents that they've been putting out public since 1968, that we have to do something about population problems, and that things could be done with putting things in the food and the water supply. This is on record. Books were written by our current science czar in our perfectly socialist country. Our science czar, who is John P. Holdren, who wrote the book Eco-Science with Paul Ehrlich and some other people. These eco-fascists who are intent upon one-child policies, sterilization through the water supply, and food and vaccines. And what do we have now? We have the legalization of 15-year-old girls can take abortion pills, and they'll take them like sex candy. They'll just take them instead of using the condoms, and they'll get diseases. And now, interestingly enough, as AIDS is beginning to sort of, I don't know, it didn't kill enough people because that was a bioweapon. That's right, AIDS is a bioweapon. Look this up. Defense Authorization 15090 for $10 million to requisition I have the actual, here. I say this all the time. That's right, it's actually a Defense Department appropriations for 1970. This is an actual copy of a document, a government document, and you can see right there, it's the United States Printing Office, U.S. Senate, HB 15090, okay, Subcommittee on the Appropriations. And in the appropriations bill, we have, within a period of 5 to 10 years, it would be possible to produce a synthetic biological agent, an agent that does not naturally exist and for which no natural immunity could have been acquired. Within the next 5 to 10 years, it would be probably possible to make a new infective microorganism which could differ in certain important aspects from any known disease-causing organisms. Most important of these, it might be refractory to the immunological and therapeutic processes upon which we depend to maintain our relative freedom from infectious disease. A research program to explore the feasibility of this could be completed in approximately 6 years at a total cost of $10 million. It's on government record. Okay? So the government did this. They executed it by putting it into the homosexual population in New York and in San Francisco for a vaccine fraud. It was given to the population through a vaccine fraud. Another one of the ways that the New World Order evildoers pass along their evil, through vaccines, cancer, and food and water. And these are the connections. I'm trying to show you that you can connect these dots. They all connect. It's a huge spider web of evil that meets in the middle. And in this case, here, Monsanto is in the middle. Monsanto is responsible for the pesticides, but now they're also the food. They control the food. They put all the food additives. They're the reasons why people are getting sick and cancer and overweight and diabetes and all these diseases. And they're a biotech company. And not only that, Michael R. Taylor is head of the FDA Food, former chief lobbyist and attorney, vice president for Monsanto. The political connections, the money connections. Now Roundup, Agent Orange, Roundup, PCBs, everything, all the horrors of the Monsanto company, their history, which is somewhat occulted, of course, because of the mainstream media's lack of attention to Monsanto. But now people are on all political spectrums. The eco-environmentalists, the people that are, save the trees and give animal rights, even those people on the extreme left and the people on the extreme right agree about one thing, that Monsanto is a evil company. A peer-reviewed report published last week in the scientific journal Entropy said evidence indicates that residues of glyphosate, the chief ingredient in Roundup weed killer, which is sprayed over millions of acres of crops, has been found in food. Those residues enhance the damaging effects of other foodborne chemical residues and toxins in the environment to disrupt normal body functions and induce disease, according to the report, authored by Stephanie Zenoff, a researcher scientist at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Anthony Samsel, a retired science consultant from Arthur D. Little Incorporated. Samsel is a former private environmental government contractor, as well as a member of the Union of Concerned Scientists. Negative impact on the body is insidious and manifests slowly over time as an inflammation damages cellular systems throughout the body, the study says. We have hit upon something very important that needs to be taken seriously and further investigated, Seneff said. Environmentalists, consumer groups, and plant scientists from several countries have warned that heavy use of glyphosate is causing problems for plants, peoples, and animals. The EPA is conducting a standard renewal registration review of glyphosate and has set a deadline of 2015 for determining if glyphosate use should be limited. The study is among comments submitted to the agency. Monsanto is the developer of both Roundup herbicide and a suite of crops that are genetically altered to withstand being sprayed with Roundup weed killer. I mean, how insidious is that? These biotech crops, including corn, soybeans, canola, and sugar beets, are planted on millions of acres in the United States annually. Farmers like them because they can spray Roundup weed killer directly on the crops to kill weeds in the fields without harming the crops. Roundup is also popularly used on lawns, gardens, and golf courses. Monsanto and other leading industry experts have said for years that glyphosate is proven safe and has less damaging impact on the environment than other commonly used chemicals. They said this about Agent Orange. They said this about the pesticides, that you have all of these cancer clusters, like out in Levittown, Long Island, anywhere that they have the farming communities, to the pesticides, the chemicals. Dow and Monsanto. Dow Chemical and Monsanto. Other figure in those 147 companies that control all the others. Jerry Steiner, Monsanto's executive vice president of sustainability, listen to that Agenda 21 word, reiterated that in a recent interview, when questioned about the study, that glyphosate is proven safe, has a less damaging impact on the environment than other commonly used chemicals. We are very confident in the long track record of glyphosate. It has been very, very extensively studied, he said. Of the more than 24 top herbicides on the market, glyphosate is the most popular. In 2007, as much as 185 million pounds of glyphosate was used by U.S. farmers, double the amount used 6 years ago, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. It's pretty bad, pretty dangerous. I know I'm focusing on Monsanto, but there are worrisome levels of lead being found in imported rice, ladies and gentlemen, so keep your eye out, be careful. 7% of the rice that's coming into the United States from Asia, Europe, and South America, okay, have unacceptable high levels of lead. The levels range from 6 milligrams per kilogram to 12 milligrams per kilogram, factoring in an average consumption that is estimated to lead exposure levels 30 to 60 times greater than the FDA's provisional total tolerable intake level for children and 20 to 40 times greater than the standard exposure level for adults. Now, since it's Asia, Europe, and South America, the Li family, who controls the Chinese food business in the world, any of the westernized Chinese food, I should say, if you notice, there's a reason why all the Chinese food, no matter where you go, it's all the same, isn't it? Wow, it's incredible. Well, it's all because it's sort of the same company that's controlling it. It's another organism of the New World Order, another snake of the, another Brotherhood of the Snake, or in this case, Brotherhood of the Dragon connection, where all of the rice and all of the egg rolls, and all there are these people that are in the warehouses that they get, where they produce these things in New York City and Maspeth and Chinatown and all across the country. I would be suspect about Chinese food restaurants, unfortunately, because do they get their rice from these providers, these general providers who probably are importing the rice from Asia? So it's important to consider where the rice is coming from.